For today's painting, I'm using a yellow ochre. I'm also using some dollar store black acrylic paint and some white from Amsterdam brand from the Paint Spot. On my palette, I started by mixing some yellow ochre and some white. The first color that I started with on this painting was a really light yellow. The reason is that whenever you're painting an animal that's white, its fur is actually made up of a whole bunch of different colors, and it's best to start with the light colors before moving on to the darker ones. Then I began to add some cinnamon brown to the areas that I had already added some color to. Again, as I said, I'm slowly working my way up to some darker colors as I block in each color. Right now, I'm really just making sure I get the biggest color differences and not worrying too much about the details. As you can see, there's a lot of darker colors on the ears and around the mouth, and eventually there also will be some darker colors around the eyes as well. Probably because of things like slobber and eye gunk that dogs get, that white dogs often have this kind of discoloration around their eyes and their mouth. I'm also layering some of that dark brown along the dog's feet and any shadow area, such as along the inner part of its leg and eventually under its body as well. The next step is to add some grays in as shadows. When I did my last painting of a white dog, Kenny, who was a Bichon Frise, I started to realize that there are so many different shades of gray and other colors within his fur. So I will do this on this dog as well, but for right now, I just wanted to block in the major pieces of shadow so that later when I start to do the curly fur, it's a little bit easier to ease into it. For this doggy, whose name is Finley, the owner had actually originally given me two pictures to work from. The first one was the owner's favorite picture, but it featured a toque in the dog's mouth and it covered the majority of the dog's body. So we used the second photo to draw the dog's body, and I'll be using it to help me with some of the pattern of its fur, but using the original photo she wanted for the highlights and coloring. In this final section, I'm starting to add some blacks to show those shadows even more. Eventually, a lot of this stuff will be covered over with some strokes that make it look more like the dog's fur. But again, this is just kind of the base, and it gives me a place to start and helps me move forward with the next piece of the painting. Doing black is always the most worrisome part because it's harder to cover. And really, there's no true black on an animal either. It's often a different combination of different shades and colors. Thank you so much for joining me on this video. I hope that you learned a thing or two about the process of painting a pet portrait. Join me again next time.